Silence can be more revealing than words. A calm smile can hide fear. A confident voice can cover uncertainty, and one steady stare can be more deceptive than looking away. For years, people have believed that liars always avoid eye contact. It is one of the most common beliefs about deception. But psychology tells a very different story. In fact, some people who are lying will look directly into your eyes for longer than usual because they believe that is exactly what an honest person should do. This is why so many lies go unnoticed. Most people are looking for dramatic clues, while the real signs are often quiet, subtle, and easy to miss. The human body constantly sends small signals that reveal what the mind is working hard to hide. These signals are not magical. They are not perfect. But when you know what to look for, they can completely change the way you understand conversations, relationships, business meetings, interviews, and even everyday interactions. The truth is that deception is rarely exposed by one obvious mistake. It is usually uncovered through a series of tiny changes that happen almost without the person realizing it. That is exactly what makes this subject so fascinating. Every day, people tell lies for different reasons. Some lie to avoid embarrassment. Some lie to protect themselves. Others lie to gain trust, manipulate situations, or hide the truth from those around them. Yet no matter how skilled someone believes they are, lying places an unusual demand on the brain. Unlike telling the truth, which usually comes naturally, deception requires creating a false story, remembering what has already been said, predicting how another person might react, and making sure every detail stays consistent. All of this happens within seconds. The brain is forced to work much harder than normal. That extra mental effort often creates small cracks in behavior. These cracks may appear in facial expressions, body posture, hand movements, eye behavior, or even the timing between words and gestures. Most people never notice these details because they happen so quickly. But once you learn to recognize them, ordinary conversations begin to reveal an entirely new layer of information. This is also where many popular myths become dangerous. Movies, television shows, and social media often present lie detection as if it were simple. They suggest that looking away means guilt, touching the nose means deception, or crossing the arms proves dishonesty. Real psychology paints a much more complicated picture. A nervous person may display many of these behaviors while telling the complete truth. Someone who feels anxious, shy, or uncomfortable can appear suspicious even when they have nothing to hide. At the same time, an experienced liar may remain calm, relaxed, and convincing. This is why professional investigators, behavioral analysts, and psychologists rarely rely on a single body language signal. Instead, they study patterns. They compare changes from a person's normal behavior. They observe how different signals appear together rather than separately. The smallest inconsistency between words, expressions, and movement often tells a far more meaningful story than one isolated gesture. Throughout this video, you will discover 7 body language signs that frequently appear when deception places pressure on the mind. More importantly, you will learn why each sign should never be judged on its own. You will understand why timing matters more than individual movements. You will learn why sudden behavioral changes are often more valuable than habits someone has displayed for years. You will discover why the feet sometimes reveal emotions that the face successfully hides. You will also learn why forced confidence can be more suspicious than nervousness, and why a person trying too hard to appear honest may accidentally expose themselves without realizing it. These are lessons that many people never hear because they are hidden beneath popular myths that continue to spread from one generation to the next. As this video continues, each new sign will build upon the previous one, allowing you to see how deception gradually reveals itself through a collection of small details rather than one dramatic mistake. By the end, you will understand why experienced investigators rarely rush to conclusions. They patiently observe. They compare behavior before and after important questions. They notice the moments when the body and the spoken words stop working together. That final lesson may completely change the way you judge honesty for the rest of your life, because it focuses on one of the most overlooked principles in behavioral psychology. It is not the loudest signal that matters. It is the pattern created when multiple signals quietly point in the same direction. These skills are useful, far beyond detecting lies. They can help you become a better listener, a more careful observer, and a stronger communicator. They encourage patience instead of quick judgment. They remind us that human behavior is incredibly complex, and that understanding people requires curiosity rather than assumptions. The ability to notice subtle changes can improve personal relationships, workplace communication, negotiations, interviews, and countless everyday situations where trust matters. Instead of reacting to one nervous movement or one uncomfortable glance, you will begin looking for the complete picture. That simple shift in perspective can prevent misunderstandings, while helping you recognize genuine warning signs when they truly appear. One final reminder before we begin: none of the signs you are about to learn can prove that someone is lying. Even experts avoid making conclusions based on a single behavior. The real power comes from recognizing clusters of signals, understanding context, and comparing changes with a person's normal behavior. That balanced approach separates careful observation from guesswork. It replaces myths with science and assumptions with evidence. Once you understand this difference, you will never watch another conversation in quite the same way again. So stay with us until the very end, because the final sign brings everything together and reveals why the most convincing liars are often exposed not by what they say, but by the tiny moments when their body quietly falls out of sync with their words. It is a simple idea, yet it has changed the way psychologists, investigators, and behavioral experts study deception. If you enjoy discovering the hidden psychology behind human behavior and want to sharpen your ability to understand people, you are in the right place. Welcome to our channel. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss our future videos, because every episode uncovers fascinating insights that help you see people, relationships, and everyday interactions in a completely new way. Sign 1. Body language suddenly changes. The first sign is not a specific gesture, it is a change. This is one of the most important ideas in behavioral psychology, yet it is also one of the most misunderstood. Many people spend their time searching for one movement that exposes every liar. They watch for crossed arms, nervous hands, or a person looking away. But those habits alone tell you almost nothing. Every person has their own natural way of moving. Some people always fidget when they speak. Others naturally avoid eye contact because they are shy. Some constantly move their hands while talking because that is simply part of their personality. If you judge these habits without understanding the person's normal behavior, you will often reach the wrong conclusion. This is why professionals first establish what is called a baseline. A baseline is simply the way someone behaves when they are comfortable and under little pressure. During normal conversation, notice how quickly they answer questions. Watch how often they smile. Observe where they usually look while speaking. Pay attention to how they sit, how they move their hands, and how relaxed their shoulders appear. These small details become your reference point. They help you understand what is normal for that particular person instead of comparing them with everyone else. Now imagine the conversations suddenly shifts to a sensitive topic. Perhaps the discussion turns toward money, an important promise, missing information, or an event they would rather not explain. At that exact moment, their behavior changes. A person who is speaking smoothly suddenly pauses before every sentence. Someone who was relaxed becomes stiff. A person who naturally used expressive hand gestures suddenly freezes and barely moves. Another person who remained calm throughout the conversation suddenly begins swallowing repeatedly or adjusting their posture. These changes deserve attention because they happen immediately after pressure increases. The important point is not the movement itself. The important point is the change. The body is reacting differently because the mind is working differently. That does not automatically mean deception. The person could feel embarrassed, anxious, guilty, or simply uncomfortable discussing the subject. However, when a noticeable shift appears exactly after certain questions, it becomes valuable information. The timing connects the behavior to the topic being discussed. That connection is often much more meaningful than the movement alone. This is why experienced investigators rarely interrupt someone after noticing one unusual action. Instead, they continue asking calm questions while observing whether the new behavior continues. If every difficult question produces another sudden change, the pattern becomes much more interesting. Human behavior usually follows routines. Sudden interruptions in those routines often reveal that something inside the person's mind has changed. Whether that change is caused by fear, stress, shame, or deception requires more observation, but the shift itself should never be ignored. Sign 2. Their face and words don't match the human face can produce thousands of expressions. Many of them are completely under our control. We smile when greeting people. We raise our eyebrows to show surprise. We nod politely during conversations. Yet there are moments when genuine emotions appear before the conscious mind has time to hide them. These brief reactions are sometimes called emotional leakage because real feelings leak through despite someone's effort to control them. Picture someone saying they are perfectly happy with a situation. Their words sound positive. Their voice seems calm. Yet for a fraction of a second, their face tightens. The corners of the mouth pull backward. The eyebrows lift in the center. The eyes briefly reveal worry before the smile returns. Most people never notice these tiny expressions because they disappear almost instantly. The face quickly returns to the expression the speaker wants everyone else to see. The same thing can happen with confidence. Someone confidently says they have nothing to worry about. Their words sound strong, but at the same time their shoulders pull inward. Their chin lowers slightly. Their body becomes smaller instead of larger. The message coming from their body does not fully agree with the message coming from their mouth. This mismatch creates an inconsistency that deserves attention. The human brain is remarkably powerful, but controlling every muscle at every moment requires enormous effort. During emotionally difficult conversations, maintaining complete consistency becomes much harder. A brief expression of fear may appear before confidence returns. Disappointment may flash across the face before a smile replaces it. Anger may appear for less than a second before calmness is restored. These quick emotional reactions often reveal feelings that words are attempting to hide. It is important to remember that emotional leakage is not proof of lying. Someone may hide sadness because they do not want to burden others. Another person may conceal fear during a stressful interview. Real emotions do not always match spoken words because people often manage their expressions for many reasons. What matters is whether these brief expressions repeatedly appear whenever the conversation reaches a particular subject. Repeated inconsistencies between emotions and statements become much more meaningful than a single isolated reaction. This is why paying close attention to the entire face matters more than focusing only on a smile. Genuine emotions usually involve many muscles working together. Forced expressions often involve fewer muscles and disappear as quickly as they appeared. The body may cooperate with the words for several seconds, but hidden emotions sometimes escape through tiny facial movements that are difficult to control completely. Sign 3. Delayed body movements. Truth usually flows naturally because it comes from memory. A person simply remembers what happened and describes it. Their words, facial expressions, and gestures often move together without much conscious effort. Lying works differently. The brain must first create the false answer, decide whether it sounds believable, predict how the listener might react, and then carefully deliver the message. All of this extra thinking can slightly disturb the normal rhythm between speech and body language. One small clue appears when movements arrive just a little too late. Someone answers a question by saying no. Their voice responds immediately, but their head shakes a second afterward. The body seems to catch up with the words instead of supporting them naturally. In another situation, a person says yes before finally nodding. They smile only after finishing the sentence instead of smiling while speaking. These tiny delays may seem insignificant, but timing is an important part of natural communication. When people tell the truth, words and gestures often happen together because they are driven by the same genuine thought. During deception, the mind may prioritize creating believable words first. The physical response follows only after the spoken answer has already been delivered. The result is a slight delay that many listeners never consciously notice but often sense without understanding why something feels unusual. This delayed rhythm can also appear in other ways. Someone promises they are calm while taking a deep breath only afterward. Another person insists they are confident before finally sitting upright several moments later. The sequence feels just a little out of order. These small timing differences can make conversations feel less natural, even when the individual movements appear completely normal on their own. Again, context is essential. Fatigue, distraction, or emotional stress can also affect timing. Some people naturally pause before speaking because they think carefully. Others move more slowly due to personality or age. The value comes from comparing the person's normal rhythm with the rhythm displayed during sensitive questions. A sudden change in timing often tells you that additional mental effort is taking place beneath the surface. Sign 4. Protective or self-comforting movements. The human body has remarkable ways of calming itself during moments of stress. Most people perform these behaviors without realizing it. They rub their hands together. They touch the side of the neck. They adjust a sleeve that does not actually need adjusting. They smooth their hair. They rub their forehead. They hold their own arms. They repeatedly straighten their shirt or jacket. These actions are known as self-comforting behaviors because they help reduce internal tension. Stress activates the body's natural survival systems. Even when no physical danger exists, emotional pressure can create similar reactions. Small comforting movements help restore a sense of control. That is why these behaviors appear during job interviews, public speaking, difficult conversations, and emotionally uncomfortable situations. Many people wrongly assume that touching the face always means someone is lying. Real psychology is far more careful than that. Someone may rub their face because they are tired. They may touch their neck because they feel nervous. They may cross their arms because the room is cold. Individual actions mean very little without context. The real question is whether these comforting behaviors suddenly increase after certain topics are introduced. A person who remained completely relaxed during casual conversation suddenly begins rubbing their neck every time financial records are mentioned. Another individual repeatedly adjusts their clothing only when discussing a specific event. Someone starts tightly holding their own arms after hearing one unexpected question. The pattern connecting stress with a particular subject becomes much more important than the movement itself. The body naturally searches for relief whenever emotional pressure rises. Watching how that pressure changes throughout a conversation provides much deeper insight than simply counting nervous habits. The greatest lesson is not that body language exposes every lie. The greatest lesson is that human behavior is much more complex than most people realize. Every person gets nervous. Every person feels pressure. Every person has moments when their body reacts before they can fully control it. That is why no single body language sign can ever prove that someone is lying. Looking away does not automatically mean deception. Touching the face does not automatically mean guilt. Crossing the arms does not automatically mean someone is hiding the truth. Real lie detection has never been about searching for one dramatic clue. It has always been about recognizing patterns that appear again and again. The most skilled observers do not rush to judge people after noticing one unusual movement. Instead, they stay patient. They compare a person's behavior with their normal baseline. They watch for sudden changes that happen after difficult questions. They notice whether words, facial expressions, and body movements remain consistent with one another. They pay close attention to timing because the smallest delay between speech and gestures can sometimes reveal that the mind is working much harder than usual. Most importantly, they understand that context is everything. The same behavior can mean completely different things depending on the situation. This careful approach separates real observation from guesswork. The body has an incredible way of revealing emotions that words sometimes try to hide, but it does so quietly, not through one glance, not through one nervous smile, not through one crossed arm or one moment of silence. It speaks through repeated patterns, small inconsistencies, and subtle changes that build over time. The people who truly understand human behavior are not the ones who believe every popular myth. They are the ones who slow down, observe carefully, and allow the complete picture to unfold before making a judgment. That mindset does not just help you recognize possible deception. It also helps you become a better listener, a wiser communicator, and someone who understands people on a much deeper level. The next time you find yourself in an important conversation, resist the urge to search for one magical sign. Instead, watch the entire story the body is telling. Notice what changes. Notice what stays the same. Pay attention to timing. Compare behavior to the person's normal habits. You may discover that the truth is rarely hidden in one dramatic moment. More often, it quietly reveals itself through a series of small details that only a patient observer can see. If you've enjoyed this video and learned something new, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our upcoming videos on psychology, body language, and the hidden science behind human behavior. Your support helps us create more content like this for you. Also, share this video with your friends and family because these insights could completely change the way they understand people. Finally, head down to the comments and tell us which of the 7 body language signs surprised you the most, or which one you think people misunderstand the most. We read your comments, and your thoughts might even inspire a future video. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.